Good evening, everyone. Yes, today I am walking to local networking. They are talking about co-living, the benefit of co-living. This channel is for education only. I'm not advisory or a lawyer, so we just share the learning experience. Let's walk together to the working room. Meeting room is on the second floor of this building. Yes. Let's go.
Plus, how many hands gave you the maybe?
He was the one who signed it up. Oh, okay, that guy.
I wanted to kind of introduce you to who the members are. Go ahead. Oh, was he?
As we were going through your presentation, so
That is pretty awesome.
talk about how awesome Aspen or how his
Place where he's at.
place is at where it's really helping out.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's good to hear. We're really trying to make it a good place. So,
He almost came to that.
oh, okay. Well, that's awesome, man. We'll tell him I said hi. We'll see him again, but that is awesome to hear. You know, one of the members, I won't tell you which one. Well, I will, because he's so funny. The guy that said, great, it's 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 great. Then he stopped paying his rent. so I had to ask him to leave. You know, so, and then we also learned a new word, quietude. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that word before. Quietude, I thought that was kind of neat. We had a gentleman that's graduated from the foster care program, so he was living there. I skipped him because he's never lived anywhere else. That was his whole story, was this is my first time to get a place. And we had another gentleman, I skipped a bigger guy. The bigger guy's from Guam, and he just takes a long time to say anything. He didn't have any problems with it. He liked it. The last place he was at, they didn't pay. Everybody didn't pay the rent, so he was nice to only be responsible for his rent. So that worked out pretty good. Does that help you to kind of get a feel for who stays in this property? You can see it's a real cross section. We also have about 3 women in the 2 different properties that we have. We've had 5 before, but now we're at 3. One of the women is actually cleaning both properties and some of my rental properties as well, so she's worked out pretty good. One of our pad split members is now taking over the lawn. We used to have a lawn guy that came through, one of my landscapers on a route, and so one of the pad split members has taken that over. And so it really is a cross section of humanity. It's not any particular class. That's not how we set it up. And we'll go ahead and go through the next slide. I'll jump forward here. All right, so now you've seen the why, which is really a who. And we say, well, how can we make a difference? And so for us, co-living was where purpose meets profits. And so we're not a nonprofit, but we did want to build something that would make a difference, and I'm really glad to hear that it is making a difference. We have one of the gentlemen is a school teacher, and for St. Hope downtown, and he said he just doesn't make enough money to have his own place, and this is the first place that he could really call home in 9 years after being here. So it's pretty cool. We have them share common areas, they share amenities, shared expenses, they share community. Now, they're not going to the ballpark together, they're not taking trips together, but they do get to know each other in the hallway, and as they pass through, they do develop some relationship. It's kind of funny, the property in Natomas probably has more community with a smaller number of people than the property in Arden does with more people. So this is our property in Arden. So we bought this property with the top part built already. We didn't build that out. It has basically a galley kitchen. On the other side of that galley kitchen is the laundry. We have 2 refrigerators and a water dispenser, and then there's another bedroom on the back side of that. So if you take a look at this is what we bought, which was about a 3,400 square foot property, and it had 6 bedrooms already. So we already had a lot to work with those 6 bedrooms. And the top of the house, the front door is facing up in this diagram. And then on the left-hand side, the upstairs is what you see on the left-hand side. So as you can see, these actually were some pretty big rooms that we actually were able to buy. So we had 6 bedrooms, 3,470 square feet. This is what we did to the upstairs. So I'll go through a couple of things here. Does this have a pointer on it? I don't know if it does or not, but anyway. Bedroom number 1 has a half bath in it. We charge extra for that. As you come over here, bedroom number 2, we didn't do anything really except for add in the closet. And then bedroom number 3, you know, we really wanted to split that bedroom, but we just couldn't figure out a way to do it without making it feel small. And this is a choice you're going to face. This is a, you know, that's a $700, $800 a month loss that we take because we didn't split that bedroom. But if you make everything feel too tight, you'll lose that sense of what gives them the desire to stay there, right? You'll make them feel like they're maybe losing a little bit of their dignity if they're too crowded. And so you have to be careful with that. You don't want to drive them away. Bedroom number 4 and 5 used to be the master bedroom. And so if you'll notice what we did is we blocked off the access to the bathroom, which was through the master bedroom, and then we took it through the hallway. I don't have to have this if I don't need it, but if you got one that works, that's great. Let's try this one. My daddy was a preacher and I can speak louder. All right, this is good. Okay, so really opening up that master bedroom is a big difference. You're going to see that in a lot of different floor plans that will make a big difference. I need to be able to access that bathroom. A lot of people will say that one might need to be turned off. Yeah.
No, it is off.
Okay. A lot of people will say, why don't we just rent out the master bedroom? But the problem is if you give up that access, you only want to have 3 bedrooms to a bathroom. 3, maybe 4. And if you give up that master bathroom, you're losing access to the other bedrooms. Now we had bedrooms number 6 and 7 was an open area. And what we did with those is we went ahead and closed them off. They basically closed off what would have been like a bonus room in the living room. We closed those off, put the bedrooms there, and we got extra because they both had doors outside. So we just left those doors outside. We actually charge a premium for those properties and for those units as well. So this gave us 2.5 baths downstairs and all of these bedrooms, 7 bedrooms.
So how many bathrooms?
We're going upstairs now.
This is the original floor plan? Or
No, this is
you-
what we did to
You
it.
cut into that bonus room and
Yep.
added the 2. And where else did you add?
So let me go back so you can see it. So this is the original.
Gotcha, okay.
And so downstairs, what we added was we added the 2 bedrooms, number 6 and 7,
Right,
and then we added bedrooms 4 and 5 where the master used to be.
gotcha, okay.
So we added 6 and 7 where there was nothing before, and we added number 4 and 5 by splitting that master. And you know your challenges is you've got to make sure you get the AC to those locations. So this is one area that we learned. We didn't really pay much attention to area 6 and 7 because we could see that we had AC outlets. And so we took up the floor, we put in the walls, we didn't really think very much about it. But then we found out those AC outlets weren't connected. And so we had to pull up perfectly floors that we had just put down, open up the subfloor, go back in and connect them. They actually never connected even though they had the grills there, we thought they were there, but they weren't. So run test. Let's see here. So now this is upstairs. So before we had 2 different bedrooms upstairs, just 2 large rooms, and we basically just split those, added closets, and turned that into 4 bedrooms. Now it's an 11 bedroom, 3.5 bath. Now, I don't know how you are on math, but 11 bedrooms does pretty good. If you're renting them out by the room, I have an apartment complex that I'm in contract on right now, and it's 8 units. 4 of them are 2 bedrooms, 4 of them are 1 bedrooms. They all have kitchens, and none of them, they don't make as much money as this co-living property does for an 8-bedroom apartment complex. So if you're thinking about small multifamily, you might think about big single family turning into co-living. Maybe this will help. Feels kind of weird, but it's quieter now. So, all right. This is our property in Greg Thatch. This is over in Natomas. And this is basically the street, the house you see driving down the street, not especially large. This one is now a 8-bedroom, 3-bath. So we took this property. As you can see, you're coming into the property, the front door is at the bottom. And as you came in, you can see the garage on the left and then this large open space on the right. And that open space on the right became what? It became, whoop. Let me stay with you. So watch the large open space. We had a half bath there, and then kitchen, living room, and garage. You can see that living room was 13 by 26, so that's a good sized living room. Upstairs, we had an area that had a loft. It had 3 bedrooms, and then a large master bedroom. Master bedroom was 16 by 19, and then the loft was 10 by 12. So this is what we did upstairs. So we took that loft, and of course we made an extra bedroom out of that. We didn't do anything with the bathroom in the hallway, and then the master bedroom, we split that in 2. And those rooms are a little bit skinny. Those aren't quite the full-size room I would like. I'd like it to not feel so skinny, but they work out very well. The beds and furniture fit in there. But what we did is we backed off that master bedroom hall, created a hallway, so you could get to the master bathroom and everybody could share that master bath. Now downstairs, you may not have noticed it. I might not have it in the drawing, but downstairs we've also added the bathroom there now extends over by the sink, and we have a shower. So we made that a full bath downstairs. We were able to use the sink as our drain for the shower, which is kind of cool. So we were able to tap into the backside of that sink. As you can see, there's a pony wall there. So we just went into the concrete right there, tapped into that drain, and they had used a 3-inch drain, which was large enough for our shower. That's his story. You've already heard that. So we're talk a little bit about what it takes to do co-living. It takes a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. We've got 19 rooms, all rented out by different people. They don't always get along. We try to eliminate points of conflict. However, we'll go into some of that more with questions and answers, I'm sure. But all of these things have to be accounted for. So you've got to deal with marketing. You're going to have to fill those units up. Pad Split's a partner that we use, a third-party vendor, and they fill up a lot of our rooms. They fill up about half of our rooms. Member screening. You've got to screen those tenants. Pad Split does some screening, but frankly, you need to meet the people. There's just no substitute for it. Pad Splits is in Atlanta. They're not coming to your rescue if you get crazy in your building. And so the light level screening is probably not enough. And once you kick crazy out once or twice, you'll probably up your screening. Member management. These happen mostly off. We don't get involved in that. Mostly all their billing is done through them. That works out pretty good. Even the ones that we bring in, we put out to them. Payment collection and onboarding consultation. They'll help you with stuff as much as they can do from a distance. The marketing, you definitely have to do that. Maintenance, cleaning, turnovers. Turnovers happen by having one of our Pad Split members help with our cleaning. She helps with our turnovers as well. She'll go take all the bedding off, wash that bedding, and then put it back on. Another little trick we learned was we buy more bedding than what we need, so that instead of doing it, she comes on site, she takes the old bedding with her back to her place, washes it there, and she just puts new bedding on. Yeah?
Are there 2 sets of washer dryers or just 1?
Only one. One in both seemed to be enough for us. They'll figure it out. And then legal liability, landscaping. Legal liability, we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Some of the structure that is used, if you're familiar with them, and we'll go into some of that, but some of that structure does help you with some legal liability. Not as much as you might want, but there is some help there. So, what's the solution to doing everything yourself? Well, if you're an investor, this is how you start out. You got your fast bike, you're going to go far, you're going to go fast, you're going to have a really good time. Until you don't. And this is what you wind up looking like. You're trying to do everything yourself, and it gets to be a burden after a while, and you can't go as fast, and you can't take corners. And so this is what we like to do, is we share the ride. And so what I mean by that is there are going to be several times where I talk to people and they talk about, well, you can save some money if you didn't do this, or you can save some money if you didn't hire this out. We're wanting to ride the fast boat. We're here to have a good time, enjoy our families, make some money, do good. but we don't feel like we need to do everything ourselves. All right, we have an investment club. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. If you want to learn more about it, you can email me, and we'll go into that more. The investment club lets people invest with us, and anyway, you make a good return. You get to vote on the things that we invest in, and so that's pretty good. We're going to jump into some of our numbers. Does everybody want to hear numbers?
Oh, yeah.
I know numbers are going to bore you. I don't want to get into numbers if it's going to bore you, right? Okay, we'll go ahead. All right, so we bought Town Circle for $710,000. Now, we use some creative financing when we buy. I don't know what to do different. Just keep it going, huh? Okay, so we got a first mortgage that is $300,000, but we got that at a 2.25% interest rate. So we did an assumed loan on a first mortgage from a VA individual, and that keeps our payment really low. If you haven't done the math on that, you can go to calculatestuff.com. That's my favorite calculator. Calculatestuff.com. Go to the mortgage calculator and just plug in the difference at 2.5 or 2.25, and then go back and put 6.25, which is where it is today. Okay. Second mortgage, we had the seller carry that $310,000. We paid him 7%. Paid him above average, above market return. We don't really care about the price or the terms as long as we can cash flow really well, and that made a difference for us. And so taxes and insurance came in. Our insurance number was higher than we expected, but our PITI is still really nice. And as you can see, with $11,000 in revenue, this prints money. This is Greg Thatch. $705,000 was our purchase price. First mortgage, this one we did an assumed loan as well. This one was only 4.6%. However, that was the whole amount. We didn't have to do a second. And so no seller carry. Principal and interest, there you go, sorry about that. Principal and interest was 33, taxes and insurance. So we're making good profit on that one as well. This is something I teach on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it unless you want to know more about it, but everybody should realize in real estate there's 5 returns on investment. You get a return from cash flow, a return from loan payoff, a return from your interest deduction, depreciation, and appreciation. All your numbers are going to be different, but you definitely should be seeing cash flow in this model. We're wanting to see somewhere between 10 and 15%. Our second property kind of brought our cash flow down a little bit because we wound up with 8 bedrooms instead of 10. And we can go into that, but it didn't turn out quite the way we wanted it, but we're still pretty happy with a 35% return. If you don't know about this, you really are missing some beautiful, beautiful words. Bonus depreciation, cost segregation. These may be the sexiest words that an old man never hears anymore. I do like it when my wife tells me to come home early, but these words are pretty good. Accelerated tax savings, improved cash flow, more investable income. In a nutshell, none of our investors will pay taxes this year because of the bonus depreciation that we're going to take out of the property when we do our segregated cost study. The short way to look at that is everybody knows that depreciation happens at 27.5%, correct? Everybody understand that? Okay, so if you don't understand that, basically IRS says your property is going to be worth 0 in 27 and a half years. So they let you deduct it, whatever the purchase price is, at about 80%, maybe 75% of the purchase price, because they say that's the improved portion. They say your improvements will be worth nothing in 27 and a half years. So you get to deduct that number divided by 27.5 every year. Well, some items in your house have a different appreciation schedule. So the lights here, the curtains there, the floor, the paint, the furnishings might have different schedules. And so for anything that's under a 15-year schedule, you get to take it all in 1 year, which is amazing. So that's the program in a nutshell. And so it basically wipes out all your earned income. We invest kind of like we use the investment club kind of like an LLC. It is an LLC, and in a nutshell, we pay out monthly distributions, tax benefits, voting rights, all are done on a prorated basis. And what's nice is we're expected to stay in for a year. We want you to be financially stable, and material participation keeps you an active participant. So we have you vote on all the things that we do. We spread out the risk and share the reward. And this is, I think, my quote, education without action is mere entertainment. How many events have you gone to without taking action? Do something. What we like about our investment club is you can put in as little as 10 grand. So we just want everybody to do something, because you'll learn so much by being an active. Where you put your money, you'll learn that product. That'll be the best course you ever took. Okay? So that's my information. I'm actually go through things fairly fast, but I want to leave a lot of room for questions and answers if I have the answer. Does anybody have any questions?
Are they typically set up on a monthly or yearly, or how is it set up?
Yeah. So she asked, are they usually set up on a month-to-month, or how does that work? In this particular case, our products are 12-week sign-up. So they sign up for 12 weeks. They're usually billed weekly. And so they're committed to 12 weeks. They can buy their way. If they pay a little extra, then we'll let them change within that 12 weeks. Sometimes they might go to another property that we own. Sometimes they might go to another pad split property in another city. And then sometimes they just walk away. So we've had no real issues filling up rooms. At first I thought it would be an issue. I actually have my rents a little under where I think I can get them to, because I just wanted to fill them up fast. I'm what you call a scared investor. I'm always scared. So I seem like I take a lot of bold steps, but then I immediately come back and try to do everything I can to offset risk. And so for me, the big risk was not whether we were losing out on our monthly income. The big risk was not having a tenant. And so we put a lot of tenants in fast, and I filled those things. I had them rented before I stopped construction. On both properties, we were still doing construction while I rented them. I would just basically tell them, hey, I'm working here. Are you wanting to still rent while we're here? But we're building this thing out. We didn't go any time without tenants. Go ahead.
Any complaints for the neighbors regarding parking?
For the neighbors?
Yeah, regarding parking.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. The property in Natomas is a lot tighter as far as the neighborhood goes. It's a lot closer together. It's out by the airport. And I really expected to have more issues there, but I don't. I don't know why. The street has a lot of parking on it, and so we buy the properties. We're going to do it. Do I have time to the other video? How am I doing on time? Okay. Yeah, we'll do that one in just, I'll take a couple more questions, then we'll do that second video. So the parking really hasn't been an issue because we bought the properties knowing that there was extra parking. As far as neighbors, we have a lot of neighbor interest in what we're doing, and if they do find out, one of the things I did wrong the first property is I advertised it online like I would another property, and I gave the address. And that was a mistake. That was a big mistake. I had way too many neighbors. I didn't have any neighbors at all interested in what we were doing on the other one. For one thing, when I bring in building materials, my building materials are on the ground for about an hour. That's it. You know, so I had crews standing there waiting to pick them up and load them into the garage, load them into the garage, load them in the garage. So nothing was left outside to show that we were working. That's a big thing. You can really cause yourself a lot of problems by leaving stupid stuff laying outside. Go ahead.
How can I do research if there's a demand for rent by the rule? If I'm working in another state, then there's some properties.
Go to pad splits. They'll have research for you. Let me ask you a question. The area that you're going, is it semi-populated?
Yes.
What area?
Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville, South Carolina. Does it have poor people in it?
Yes.
Then you can do rent by the room. If it was all rich people, maybe you couldn't do it. But
If I
yeah,
have a 3-bedroom and a 2-bathroom unit, does that work good enough?
I don't think so.
No?
Not in my model. I'm expensive. Getting me involved in it is very expensive. And when you start adding on me, and then you add on utilities, and then you add on taxes, I really want to see you at 7, 8. I don't want to do anything under 8. I think without me, you could probably, if you didn't have a third-party manager and you did everything yourself, you might could get away with 6. If you already own the property, you might could get away with 5. But I would not do it for anybody. I wouldn't tell anybody to do it under 8. You know, I really want those extra numbers. I mean, the question is, are you wanting to break even or you want to make money? I mean, we're making money. We're $2,000-3,000 a month in cash flow. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so how are you dealing with the zoning and the city-county ordinances as far as how many people can live in a residential home?
We don't have any city-county ordinances that we're aware of how many people can live in a city-county, in a home.
But you're in Natomas?
In Natomas, yeah. Yeah. We're in Natomas and Sacramento. And as far as we're aware of, there are no ordinances on that. And if there were, they would probably be stricken. They won't pass any constitutional stand. California, don't take this the wrong way, but we have a he, she, he, them problem in California where we're not really sure what anyone is. And there's really no way for the government to come in and tell you who your family is. So most places that have rules that say how many unrelated people first have to figure out what unrelated means. Then they have to figure out whether that was something that was left over from a racist time period. And most states have stricken those laws because they say they're racist. So they don't even get into the other problem. So the other thing is that we're really different than short-term housing. Short-term housing right now is coming under a lot of attack. A lot of city and regulation really does not like short-term housing, but they love what we're doing. We don't take homes off the market. We add more people living in the same number of homes. The math is totally different. So we haven't had that be an issue. Could it be an issue? It definitely could be an issue, but it's not one that we're going to go asking about, if you understand. I came from the Navy, and they taught us there that we would rather ask for forgiveness than permission. But I know that's not everybody's style. So I don't have an answer for the people that are really wanting to do it completely 100% by the book, because I didn't bother to read the book. So go ahead.
So you mentioned pad splits putting about half your residents in. Has that changed since you initially started? And then are you getting the rest on your own advertising? And then what is the difference with cost as far as pad split to self-manage and self-acquisition?
So let me make sure I'm not saying it the wrong way. We like pad splits. We think they're a great partner. But if I place the tenant myself, I save there's a payment of 10 days worth of rent that goes to the pad split company.
Okay.
And so I don't have to pay them that, let's call it a lease-up fee, right, if I find them myself. So I actually run a property management company with 200 doors, and so I'm kind of finding people anyway, and I have the ability to screen them. So not everybody has that ability. If you didn't have that ability, pad split is a great way to go. But even then, my wife yesterday sent me somebody from Sprouts, that she works at Sprouts, and she said, hey, this girl's looking for a place. Well, that one won't cost me the 10 days. I'll put her through. She'll still go, I get a link, and I can send them to Pad Splits. Pad Split still does their screening, and then they come through to me. I do a second layer of screening, and I can still do them without having to pay that extra fee. So it's fairly reasonable. Go ahead.
So you guys, if I remember correctly, don't charge for utilities. It's part of the price of rent.
Yeah, I didn't go into it too much on this slide, but the cost of living is crazy, right? You're probably looking at, and it doesn't seem crazy to everybody if you have a great job, but you're probably looking at about $1,800 for most any apartment. You just can't find something. Maybe 16 in a bad neighborhood, but probably around 1,800. And then you're going to throw about $400 to $500 a month on top of that for things like utilities, cable, water, sewer, garbage, electricity, gas, all of that. So if you're $400 plus 1,800, you're at $2,200. You got to start doing some math and going backwards and saying, if a guy makes $25 an hour, can he really afford to live in his own place? He can't. The math doesn't work. And so we're about 40 to 60, we're somewhere between 60 and 40% savings for someone to take one of our rooms. And that's a big difference at that price level. It's a real big difference.
So what do you do, for example, with HVAC? Do you have people playing with, because we live in Placer County, PG&E is expensive. So
Yeah.
if they're running that HVAC, I was just always curious about that.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to find out because this is our first year, and right now I've got a broken AC system in one of my places I've got to fix. So yeah, we're getting ready to find that out. We do have we have good systems that are in place. The older system's actually running a lot better than the newer one is, but we're going to find out. What I haven't heard a lot of is complaints among them. I haven't heard them saying this is too hot, this is too cool. For one thing, we have fans in every room. So there's a ceiling fan in every room, so that takes care of some of it. And then the other thing is we charge enough money to pay the utilities. So yeah, do I like writing that check? No, but that's part of doing business. So I budgeted for a high electricity bill. So I think I think part of the challenge that investors have sometimes is they bring some of these problems on themselves. They get into a deal that's too skinny in the first place, and then they start worrying about trying to tell a grown person what to set the temperature at. Now, I do have a digital thermometer, and I probably will eventually set a range so they can't take advantage of it. That's probably going to happen this summer, but so far it hasn't. But I think that the key is make sure you got enough money coming in to pay bills like that without having to make them feel. As you heard the people talking, my houses look good. They're built nice. These are great. I have a great contractor, and he builds it like it was new construction. You really can't tell the difference. That house in Natomas looks and feels like it was built that way. And I've got 8 bedrooms. Let's go ahead and play. I'm going to share a little video. Are you guys okay with the video? I know it's not the perfect setup. You guys okay watching them? Yeah. All right, so this video, all these videos are